I reshot all of those during the promotion. So let's say I open up a promotion.
In my marketing business, I redid the marketing while I was marketing. Yeah, like it's your whole job. Of course you did.
And I'm in.
Hi everyone, welcome to Nicole Reacts, where I, Nicole, react to online marketing guru trainings that I find on the internet. My qualifications for snark and commentary that I've owned a legitimate marketing company for almost 15 years. In that time, having worked with hundreds of clients on marketing strategy and implementation, as well as marketing my own small businesses. So I can look at marketing both on the sort of business needing marketing services side of things, as well as the agency owner providing marketing services side of things. So, couple of sort of show notes before we get started. First of all, I started this year doing this as like a fun little goofy thing when I was by myself one night and found a Grant Cardone video. I didn't realize it would become a weekly thing, and I didn't realize that my subscribers would go from being under 100 to being close to 500. So thank you to everyone who subscribed. I do hope if you watch this video or other videos in the series, you think about subscribing so that I can one day monetize my channel and buy fancy things to improve production quality and maybe run some experiments where maybe I don't know if I want to give the gurus money, but anyway, if money was coming in, I would justify spending it on definitely some stuff that would improve the videos that I have here. So thanks for considering it. And if you just want to see like what else is in the series, if you go on this YouTube channel that you're watching this on, if you're on YouTube, there's a whole Nicole Reacts playlist. And if you go on my website in the blog section, there's a Nicole Reacts category where all the videos have been posted. So those are two great places to kind of find everything together. So today's person is Brendon Burchard. Now, I will say, if you see me like hesitate to pronounce his name, what it is that I'm French Canadian, as we've established in my last name. And I grew up in an area with a lot of other French Canadians. And I know tons of people with the last name Bouchard, right? Or Bouchard, right? And so every time I see Brendon's name, I have to say, Brendon, not Bouchard, Burchard. I say the not Bouchard part in my head, but I'm trying to pronounce his name correctly because, what's interesting getting more people watching these videos is that I'm getting these like really random comments. And someone the other day was like, are you pronouncing Eric Warhe's name incorrectly so that you can avoid defamation? And I was like, I genuinely thought that's how you pronounced his name. So I'm not trying to mispronounce anyone's name here. I'm not trying to misgender anyone. I'm not trying to sort of say incorrect things about people to get engagement or to avoid legal action. When I present this information, I think that it's accurate. So if it ever isn't, feel free to correct me in the comments because I would like to be correct about things. And I'm sadly not right about everything, even if I think I've done my homework and all of that. So Brendon Burchard is an author. He's written at least one New York Times bestseller. Now, I know we all have sort of mixed feelings about the New York Times bestsellers because there's all these kind of tricky ways that gurus have found to get on the list. And then you read these books and you're like, I thought the New York Times bestseller list was like representative of really well-written books. And I think the New York Times has sort of gotten hip to this and has started, for example, putting daggers next to the names of books where there has been mass sort of bulk quantities sold. So I think, part of the New York Times criteria is to sell a certain amount of books like at launch or, during a certain time period. And so what people will do is like bulk order their own books or have people bulk order books. So, the New York Times has tried to, they're still on the list, but they have a dagger, which just says, hey, maybe this person got here sort of maliciously. I'm not saying Brendon is one of those people. I'm just saying that, like, to me, saying New York Times bestselling author is kind of like, okay. So he's written a few books and he has done some training with Oprah Winfrey. And the reason I'm not super going into his bio is that what I normally do is look at the person's website and look at the Wikipedia entry and kind of see like, okay, like how do they talk about their timeline versus how does like this random place on the internet where multiple people can edit an article about them talk about their timeline? And with Brendon, what's really interesting is, and this is the first time I've ever seen this for any guru that I've reacted to, there is this little announcement that says that this content is written like an advertisement. Please improve by removing promotional content and inappropriate external links. So part of me is like, okay, like I don't know how, I don't know how true this is. I don't know if this, him or someone from his team wrote this and kind of inflated his qualifications in any way. But yeah, point being is that this person's an author. This person is also kind of running in the guru circles and has recently launched a podcast network, Growth Nation Podcast Network. I'll put the name of it on the screen. I'm completely blanking on the name of it right now. But this sort of launch of the podcast network is what kind of got this guy back on my radar. I had heard of him, but like I didn't know a lot about him. So this is some of the people on the podcast network. Again, all these gurus self-refer to each other. So we have Trent, Shelton, we have Lisa Bilyeau, and we see that, Brendon Burchard owns the podcast network. And so he has two podcasts, one of them being about motivation and one of them being about marketing. The marketing one seems relatively new. I'm recording this on November 6th. So he has only 12 episodes in that one. And what I thought was really interesting is when you go to his official site, by the way, enjoy the word art of Live, Love, Matter. I guess it's the live, laugh, love of it, but guru style. And there is his little New York Times bestseller circled. Doesn't look like it has a dagger next to it. Maybe that's why the screenshot is there. But if we go to the podcast area, what's funny is like we only see the motivation podcast. He doesn't have the marketing podcast at all. And just to show you how much content is in the motivation, it goes on for a while. Like I'm just scrolling here continuously, scrolling. So there's all this content, and a lot of it's like kind of repeated, because when I was looking for something to react to, I was like typing in the name of what I thought the episode was, and it was pulling in other content he had previously recorded. So the episode I've chosen to listen to today is How to Save a Failing Promotion. And the reason I've chosen this, by the way, I don't know if he like added that little, I don't know if that's like an emoji ahead of the name of the podcast. I know that when you put, for example, emojis like in an email subject line, that's supposed to help improve the open rate. Or if you mention like the person's name. So if there's like a little emoji and it says, special offers for you, Nicole, or insert your name here, like those kind of things get opens. And I'm wondering if you can put emojis in podcast titles. I'll have to look at that after. But anyway, I thought this would be interesting to react to, because here on this channel, we've talked about lots of marketing topics, but we haven't really addressed like any sort of course correction, So let's say like something isn't working, how do you fix it kind of content. Most of these gurus don't acknowledge that things could maybe not work out. And, listen, just because a promotion is failing doesn't mean there's like a crisis or anything, right? It doesn't have to be a PR disaster for something to fail. It could just be that like, you thought you'd have this many people, buy tickets to an event and there's much less or something like that. So I thought this would be interesting to kind of see his perspective on this. So this is about an hour long. You guys did vote in the community poll that you liked the longer videos. So I might divide this into two parts. We'll see. All right, let's get it started.
If you've been there, if you've been promoting something, you're like, no one's buying it, and your first move is to lower the price, that means you've never studied marketing ever at all, okay? Because you should know, you should never adjust. Price should be the very last thing you ever change in a promotion.
I dislike the way he's starting this off, and I'll tell you why. They're like, if you do this, like, you don't know anything about marketing. Well, you could say, this is how I would say it. Your first thing might be to lower the price, but hold off. I've got some ideas that might work better and have you not lose money. See how I still said the same idea of acknowledging that a first kind of course correction might be to change the price, but how I would do it differently without making you feel like an idiot? Yeah. So I'm already thinking this guy's kind of condescending and we're 19 seconds in. So
your job in marketing is to get better at presenting the offer so that more people take it without changing the price, okay? Very rarely should you ever lower a price. Most often, you should heighten your sales pitch, make it better. Hey y'all, it's Brendon. I'm back here in the studio and I wanted to share with you about something that we're really doing that's super cool.
Okay. We reacted to a podcast from Amy Porterfield previously, right? And in that, she spent all this time selling her own crap before she actually started the podcast. So let's take some bets about when he starts the content. So I'm going to say he's going to start the content at 4 minutes. So this little kind of preview at the beginning of like, never lower your price, right? And then there's this music interlude and he's saying, we're working on something really cool. So I think he's about to sell us something. And I don't think it's the only thing he's going to sell us before he starts the podcast, but let's see.
Cool. If you've never been part of Influencer Summit, then I'm really going to surprise you today. You can go to influencersummit.com and you can learn about how this industry really works. Because if you're watching me or listening to me, this is the influencer economy, right? This is the creator economy, the knowledge economy, the thought leader economy. It's basically a place where we're all trying to build a personal brand and audience, but we're also trying to earn a living from it and have a lifestyle that's creative and expressive and fun and on our own schedule. So go to influencersummit.com. We're having a summit where I'm bringing in the biggest names in the industry to talk about how did they build their career? How do they build the audience? How do they do the marketing? How do they make money? Like, how does all of this actually work? Well, go to influencersummit.com. You can join us for the free summit. Again, it's free. And we're just all going to share how we have forged our career in this modern economy. If you're an online entrepreneur, if you're an author, a speaker, you want to create courses or podcasts or YouTube or monetize your social media, that's the influencer space. So go to influencersummit.com for your free ticket right now. Hey, it's Brendon from
I'm going to sell you something else.
the studio here. I want to jump in one more time and tell you about one of our partners, and that is Kajabi. If you've ever seen...
All the course gurus love Kajabi. If you ever want me to look into it, let me know.
Any of my marketing online, or you have gotten an email from me, or you've just admired kind of what we built by selling, 20 plus blockbuster online courses, or where I go live in my membership areas, or how I accept money online, now well over $100 million over the years.
Humble brag, humble brag, humble brag.
How do I do all that? I've always used Kajabi. It's spelled Kajabi. And Kajabi just helps online entrepreneurs take flight, because we all have to do the same thing, right? We have to figure out, okay, how do I build a web page? How do I capture emails and send emails and funnels and newsletters?
You don't send funnels. If you interact with a piece of content from a company, whether that's an advertisement or in, a Facebook post or something like that, you are in their funnel, right? So yeah, the funnel is like an internal thing. It's not something that you send to people.
How do I put content up that's for free, but also content up that's behind a paywall that I can charge money for? How do I build those membership sites? How do I organize my podcast or my blog? How do I accept money and create checkouts and order bumps and one-click upsells? How does all of that actually work? If you're a life coach, how do you actually talk to a client and connect with them and schedule with them and serve them and give them a members portal area? If you're teaching online courses, how do you actually put up the course?
There's tons of tutorials about this. I'm sure Kajabi, probably on their YouTube channel, has hey, this is, some best practices for recording your course. You can also look at Teachable, or I'm trying to think of any of the online sort of course platforms. A lot of them have free content, and it'll talk about how to, create interesting course content, how to sell it, and if you're between, let's say you're like, oh, should I sell it with a payment form or should I sell it with WooCommerce? You can probably type in payment form or WooCommerce to sell a course, and probably someone else made a video about it. I think I might have even made a video like that talks about online payment. But anyway, yeah, I don't think you need to buy anything from this guy to learn this stuff. This is all pretty general stuff.
And set up automations to sell the course and to
I know they love, okay, we're using some buzzwords, right? We've got automations, we got payment gateways, we have upsells. So he's using the vocabulary, but he's not really like, I don't know. He's just lightly sprinkling it in there, probably to pique your interest.
trigger things like an email to go out when they successfully complete one of your modules. Kajabi does all of that. You even get templates that I helped build and I personally wrote to help you write even better emails to your audience. That's at kajabi.com, Kajabi.com.
So with automations, there's a couple of things you can use. The main one is Zapier.com or Zapier.com. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I never know how to pronounce it, but what it does is if you can basically select a trigger and then a response event. So let's say that when someone joins my email list, I want to send them an automated email to, join my Facebook community. Or let's say when somebody, when I upload a YouTube video, I want it to automatically go to my email list. These are things I can set up in Zapier or Zapier.com. And I did a little broadcast about automation, whether it's for sort of personal use. So for example, if I wanted it to check the local sunrise, sunset, and if it's still dark outside at 6 a.m. for it to turn on my porch light so that when I go let the dog out, like the light will be on. That's something I could program, I think, with if this, then that. Yes, that is an actual problem. I am very far north. But anyway, point being is you do not need Kajabi to do automations. You can actually set them up yourself. If you already have a website, if you already have tools that you're using, like, Facebook, YouTube, MailChimp, Constant Contact, whatever, there are ways you can hook things into each other. You don't need these guys.
If you wanted the system that most of us in the thought leader or the expert economy really use and we've relied on for years, go to Kajabi.com.
Yeah, maybe because they sponsor you. Maybe that's why you use them. Okay, we're at 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Content hasn't started yet.
Today we're going to talk about how do you change a failing promotion?
Okay, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I bet we get some more ads somewhere either in the middle or at the end too. So let's see how much actual content we get. So 4 minutes, 20 seconds. And let's see how long the content goes.
And this is a big one that you guys have been asking over the last couple months that we just haven't gotten to. So I think you're really going to like that one. We'll talk about which trend changed my marketing strategies this year. And we'll talk about why people take or don't take high-priced offers and what you can do to make your high-priced offers more effective and, frankly, more fun. So we have a lot to talk about today.
Okay, so he says there's something that happened this year that changed his marketing strategy. I bet it is short format video, but we'll see.
First, we're going to jump right in because I have so much to go into. We're going to talk about how to change a failing promotion. And I've got some cards here for you that are going to reveal, what I got? I got 4 of them. I think I have 4 or 5 points for you. So bust out your journal, right across the top of it, how to change a failing promotion. Because listen, all promotions fail first.
It sounds like he's giving the speech from stage. Like, it doesn't sound like he has like a microphone and he's projecting out into a larger room. And it also, I don't know, it's like, was this a video and then is turned into an audio? I'm kind of curious because he mentions the cards. So I'm curious if we're missing some context or some content by not being able to see what he's doing.
All promotions fail first. We've done now in the Burchard group, I think we just passed our 23rd 7-figure online promotion.
7-figure. Get out your bingo card, folks.
So that means we've done 23 online promotions in my career that crossed over $1 million in 3 weeks or less. But here's the magic about that. That's just what we've done. If you count all of my clients, if you count our Experts Academy students, if you count some of you guys, we're talking about literally hundreds and hundreds of 7-figure online launches that I've been able to watch, run, learn from, advise on. So a lot of perspective here. And I'm here to tell you that all those ones that we did, they all failed at first. All of them. All 23 failed. And here's what I mean by that is every one of those sales videos that I first initially released for every single one of those promotions and every one of those first sales letters that I released for any of those promotions, both of them failed. And what I mean, did it mean nobody bought? Not necessarily. It means that I knew every single time I could make them better.
You guys, I didn't fail. I just knew every single time I could do it better. This guy's definition of failure is different than my definition of failure and probably different than your definition of failure. God, I don't know how I'm going to stand an hour of this, but.
And every time I shot a second or third or fourth sales video, and as I shot that second or third or fourth one, I got better at it. My rhythm grew. I knew how better to make the offer clear. I knew how to better do objections. And the reason I'm telling you this is because many of you, and I've noticed our comments or read in our student things, you get discouraged. You know, you think, I did that promotion and nobody bought it. And I'm like, yeah, that's most of the time, you know.
But he said he's never had a promotion where nobody bought something. It's just that he knew he could have done better. So we should expect to not make any sales. And yeah, of course, if you record a video multiple times, you're going to get better at it. Like that makes sense.
If you think about even my promotions, most of the things that we offer, let's say at the $500 or above level, less than maybe 1%, 2-3% will ever buy it. That means 97% of the people who see the offer don't take it.
If you look at, I think Shopify did a really big study, and the average conversion rate on an online shopping cart was between 1 and 2%. I'll put the study on the screen when I'm editing it and link to it in the show notes. But yeah, so a conversion rate, which is the amount of people who see something versus buy something, for any online shopping cart is around this. And so what I tell people when I'm working with them, and let's say they want me to run ads, is I will look at their data. And if their shopping cart is converting at 0.5%, I'll be like, you know what, like, let's fix the website a little bit first, and then let's run ads. Because like, I want to get that conversion up for them so that when we're spending money to send people to the site, that the right amount of people are going to actually go through the checkout process. So that number is just typical, not just of courses, but basically pretty much any online shopping cart out there.
And I'm cool with that because that's marketing.
Yeah.
And so for those of you who get really discouraged and you've been frustrated with yourself, I'm just here to say, take a breather. Marketing is really just testing. And as you get better and better and better at it, you become okay with the quote unquote failures. And then you learn to find specific leverage points to make your next sales video better. Okay. So here's how I kind of go about a promotion. Let's say I'm just going to use an example here that maybe some of you guys have seen. We promoted a $297 online course.
They always end in a 7, don't they? All the guru pricing, it always ends in a 7.
Called the High Performance Habit Builder. So it was 6 separate courses that we bundled into one thing for $297. Okay. When I first promoted that, total bomb. I mean, crickets. Something that I anticipated. And it didn't upset me. It didn't discourage me. It's like every first time we release something, it usually doesn't do well the first video. And it's not because the setting of the video or the lighting of the video. It's usually me as the performer in the video not doing the best that I could do. Maybe I'm not really clear about what I'm saying yet. Maybe I haven't honed in on the best way to present the offer. Maybe my energy was off. Maybe I didn't have the right bonus in there. I'm going to talk you through the things to look at before you do what naturally happens for newbies or those who get discouraged easy. And that is, these are the things you're going to do before you change the price or the offer. Because that's what people usually do. No one's buying something. Cut the price in half. That's not the answer. So if you've been there, if you've been promoting something, you're like, no one's buying it, and your first move is to lower the price, that means you've never studied marketing ever at all, okay? Because you should know, you should never adjust. The price should be the very last thing you ever change in a promotion?
I think that sometimes we forget that even if someone's been in business for a while, especially if you're promoting a sort of intellectual product like a course, right? It's one thing if I'm like promoting this pen, right? So there's a certain amount of materials that went into this pen. There's a certain, people who manufacture this pen, how many man hours have gone into it and what do we pay the people who make it? And then, there's a certain percentage that has to be marked up for it to be sold retail so that the store can make some money, right? But these intellectual products are a little squishier, right? And I think the way he's saying this, it's like you've done all this research and you have like the very best price for your thing, when really a lot of us are kind of doing the best we can with our pricing. And maybe the price does need to get adjusted. Maybe your price isn't correct. So I'm really curious. He's like really double downing on, like, don't change your price. Like, okay, but like that might be something you have to change because maybe the thought that went into it, maybe the reasoning wasn't quite right. Maybe your cost of materials have changed, whatever. And like I said, especially with like these kind of in your brain kind of products, the value can be a little bit squishy. So
your job in marketing is to get better at presenting the offer so that more people take it without changing the price. Okay? Very rarely should you ever lower a price. Most often, you should heighten your sales pitch, make it better, right? I always tell a customer,
hey, the reason you're not selling enough is because you're not selling well. Okay. 9 minutes and 34 seconds in.
I mean, almost all the time when people come to me and say, we're thinking about lowering our price, I'm like, no. You change your positioning, you change your structure, you change maybe the bonuses, but you do not change that price. You don't lowball yourself because your sense of insecurity that naturally comes up when the promotion looks like it's failing goes for the easy answer, right? Because, think about psychologically. When we are discouraged or discomforted, we want to do the easiest thing. Isn't it true? Like when you're upset or you're sad or you don't feel like you're gaining momentum in life, what are you usually attracted to? The easiest thing. Right? That's what we're attracted to when we're in a lot of struggle, a lot of turmoil. We just want convenience. We want easy. And what's easier? Just logging into your system and changing a number, your price, or actually refilming a sales video, right? Well, obviously, it's easier to change the price. And I go, do not choose easy just because you got discouraged. I want you to challenge yourself to get better at it. Like I
lean into the hard.
said, 23 sales videos. I've reshot every one of those during the promotion.
Your entire job is marketing. Your whole thing, you have all day to refilm stuff. A lot of small businesses are doing this sort of thing as like a side project. So maybe I'm like a bakery and I think, you know what, like I want to make some more passive income, or I want to like increase the amount of ways I make income. So I'm going to do these baking classes of local recipes. So I might like spend a whole day like filming myself baking, and then I go to edit it and I'm like, oh, I'd like to redo it. But odds are like, I got to go run my bakery. I took that whole day to record the videos and I'm taking maybe another day or two to edit the videos. Like, this isn't always possible for people. And it's really easy when your entire job is to do marketing, to tell people to do more marketing. Sometimes refilming isn't possible. So what are we supposed to do then? And
what I mean by that, and I really want to underline this, I reshot all of those during the promotion. So let's say I open up a promotion.
In my marketing business, I redid the marketing while I was marketing. Yeah, like it's your whole job. Of course you did.
And I'm going to promote it for 10 days. Okay. When I first open the cart, meaning people can now purchase it, let's call that day one, and it's going to be open for 10 days. On day one, I look at those numbers and I immediately know, is this good, bad, crickets? What's happening? And almost always I just see and I listen to what people are writing into our customer support, or what they're posting online, and I see what the questions are, and I go, did I answer those questions in the video or not? And 9 out of 10 times I didn't, and I got to reshoot the video. So it's been very notorious for me and Travis as we were filming videos for years, and now me and Jess and Ben and the team.
So he's got a whole team that helps him film videos. Like, he has help. A lot of people he's asking to do this don't have the help that he has. Come on, dude. By the way, as a complete aside, there's going to be a lot of weird cuts in this video. I try to film these videos when my boyfriend is out of the house because we share a tiny office together, which is where my desk is set up. And when I'm filming, he can't really do anything in here unless he wants to like listen to me do this, right? So he's gone. And then when he's gone, my dog gets extra protective and whiny. So I have let her outside so far twice in this video. So apologize for the weird cuts. Maybe someday, like Brendon Burchard, I will have a whole team that will allow me to refilm videos at will. But until then, I do have a team, by the way. I'm just not going to make them edit this stuff because this is a little creative side project for the business here. So
to reshoot videos, a sales video, and try them. So what did I do as an example with this latest one? I want to use that as a case study, the high performance habit builder sales video that was bombing. And when I say bombing, it didn't mean that some people weren't taking it. It just, I wanted that to be at least.
When I say failure, I don't mean I'm failing at all. I mean that like I just knew it could just stop cover. Either you're going to say you identify with failure or you're going to say you don't. You can't just keep straddling the fence here.
At a $297 level, I wanted that to average out at least a 2.5% conversion. Okay. So at about a $300 offer, for me, I want 2.5% of the people who hit the page and watch the video to buy it.
So that's higher than average, but it's not like he's not expecting a 10% conversion or something. He's still like within the realm of realistic possibility here.
Now that's really depressing, right? You think about, wait a minute, only 2. Brendon Burchard can only get 2.5.
Yeah, that's like above average. And if you think about it, why do you think people care about search engine optimization so much? Because if you get more traffic, right, and you know you're converting a certain amount of that traffic, getting more traffic means more sales. And so you want to get more free traffic, which is why people care about SEO or search engine optimization.
Percent of people to say yes? I'm like, well, that's actually pretty good. You should have some. My dating ratio is much worse than that. Oh God, it was like 0.0001%. Denise, you're a saint. Thank you, honey.
By the way, I had to look up because this guy looks young, right? And he's older than I am. He's like 45. So he looks young though. I'll give him that.
But you know, usually lots of people say no, and I'm okay with that because.
Are you though? Are you happy? You should be happy with Denise. Okay.
You know, especially in what I'm selling, personal development, I don't mind that number. Now, if I was selling wealth, right, build your career or get lots of wealth or make money doing this or learn this system or this strategy, now I would take that $300 number and I'd want that to be a good average of like a 3.8 or a 4. That would be a good number. But even that, those numbers often don't come from people until the last 72 hours of promotion, because these days no one does anything the first time they see something, they don't buy it. Second time, they don't buy it. Third, fourth, fifth, they might not buy it. And then the deadline, and they go, oh.
Yep, we manufacture some urgency. That's a typical guru thing to do. You know, is the course actually closing? No, it's pre-recorded. You could sell it to them whenever you wanted, but we have to create the course is closing or this deal is ending, right? To make people act. And I honestly think that, especially in a post-COVID world where we're all, I guess, a lot more savvy about like kind of what's going on and hip to what corporations are up to, I think this stuff is just going to work less and less well over time. I'll be completely honest with you.
Just so you know, industry-wide and online marketing, a good 60% plus of all purchases are coming in those last 72 hours of a major promotion, okay? For me and most of the guys doing 7-figure launches, 80% of those buys are coming in the last 2 days. 80% of sales in the last 48 hours. And that's just going to continue to be the trend because people are overwhelmed, and until smacked upside the face with the deadline, they don't do anything. And yes, we can all bemoan that, but when did you do your taxes? Huh? April 15th? What? Everybody waits until the deadline. So don't be, judging other people or getting upset at your audience. People need a deadline. And that's just the reality. So you need to think about a couple of things of what I just said. One, know your conversion numbers. Like, what are you after? Two, be willing to reshoot a video on the fly during a promotion. Three, don't panic in the first couple of days either, though, because 80% of your sales might come in that last 48 hours. So if all those things are true, and we've sort of started there, now let's talk about, okay, you know you got a dog, okay? You know you have a, I keep forgetting. As my audience has grown worldwide, I've had to teach myself things not to say. And when I say it on stage, it's like, you have a dog. So my audience goes like, what's he talking? I thought we were talking about marketing. Yes, I have a dog. It's one of those little wiener dogs, but what are you talking about, Brendon? It's like, I'm talking about, it means it's a fail, okay? A dog is a fail. If it's not doing well, it's dogging it, okay? I sent out that video or that email recently to our whole list, and I said, if you feel like you're dogging it, and all these people relied back and go, how come what does he mean by that? So if you feel like you got a sales video, it's not doing well, here's what I would look at. So you say, Brendon, I'll give you $10,000 to fix my sales video. This is what I would tell you to do. So write this stuff down. It might seem like common sense, but very few people have the guts to pivot during a launch. The number one first thing, I'm going to look at your video.
Are we supposed to not panic, or are we supposed to pivot? Right? Like, you see how like it seems like the previous part of this was saying, hey, listen, you're going to get most of your sales the last couple of days. So like, don't worry about it. And now it's like, okay, when to pivot? Okay, so am I pivoting in the last 48 to 72 hours when I haven't gotten sales, giving it time to work? Or am I pivoting before that? How do I know when to pivot? All right, I'll see.
Or your sales text or your emails, but I'm going to look for something. And it is a universally forgotten art, and I don't understand why. And I hope you see that we're having fun a lot today, because this is a big part of this. Enthusiasm. I'm going to watch your sales video, and I'm going to watch your energy. And I'm going to ask, are you enthusiastic for both the student, the people you're speaking to, and are you enthusiastic about the topic, the thing that you're selling, and are you enthusiastic about the results that your students could get? And if I don't feel your enthusiasm, you could say all the right things in the world, but never forget, enthusiasm sells. People often say, oh, it's Brendon. He can sell because, he's an advanced marketer. I'm like, no, I can sell because I've built my life so I'm happy.
And you're in a self-referencing circle of gurus. And you probably have had some opportunities to meet some of the right people at the right times. When people don't acknowledge their privilege, it really bothers me. Just why in every video, I'm like, hey, well, not every video, but in a lot of videos, I acknowledge my privilege, which is that I had money to start my business. I got money, and my dad died, my grandfather died. So I had a nest egg. Basically, I had a year's worth of living expenses, money saved up. And by saved up, I mean from them. I didn't work for that money. I just got it. I have family and friends who are very helpful. I met someone at a party the first year that I was in business who hooked me up with my first big contract. I could acknowledge 100 things here. So him being I'm successful because I'm happy and I'm enthusiastic about what I do. I'm happy. I'm enthusiastic about what I do. I'm successful, but I'm not 22 7-figure launches successful. I don't know. I just feel like these people overly simplify, and then it makes it so that if you're not successful like them, you are wait a minute, am I doing something wrong? No, you're not doing anything wrong. They're just glossing over some stuff. And one of the things actually that I got feedback on recently is working on a collaboration with another YouTube person. And she was like, I was watching your videos, reacting to these MLM people, and you're so calm about it, and she was in an MLM and was sort of trained on how to market and to sort of be like over the top. And, and she's like, and watching you calmly counteract this person's points was really good. So yeah, you can be enthusiastic without being a freaking cheerleader about it. And I think that if you're not naturally like that and you try to be really enthusiastic, it's going to come off as kind of fake. And I think as a culture, we sort of overly reward extrovert behavior. And I don't think it's necessarily indicative that someone is actually enthusiastic so much as they can present that they're enthusiastic. So I don't know.
Say it again. I can sell because I built my life so that I'm happy. That's my unique edge, is that I'm happy.
Or is your unique edge that you have enough money? And so when you go into the sales process, if the person says no, you're like, oh, cool. I've got like a couple million in the bank. I'm fine. I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to sell something when you don't desperately need the money. That helps a lot.
And if you can be happy and demonstrate enthusiasm for your product, your life, your business, and your students' life and their businesses and what they're doing in their life, then you can sell more. But what happens for most people, even very experienced people, they're too somber in their sales video. They're trying to make a business case as if they were trying to make the business case to like the World Bank. And it's just like, it's so blah. And logically, they built everything. They followed all the marketers' secrets about copywriting. They've done everything right, except demonstrate humanity. Your job is to demonstrate humanity, demonstrate enthusiasm for what you're offering. That means you have to be first, you have to prime enthusiasm for your life. Because if it's fake, they're not going to believe in you and they're not going to buy from you. They want to see an authentic enthusiasm from you. And I really believe authentic enthusiasm can only come from living your life well. And so that's why I do all those things in my morning to prime enthusiasm every morning of my life.
Oh yeah, the elusive morning routine.
You guys know my shower questions, right? When
Shower
I'm
questions.
in the shower every morning, first question I ask is, what can I be excited about today?
Oh my God, this sounds exhausting. Hold on, I gotta go let my dog in again. I'm back.
It's like, I want that excitement primed in my life. What can I be excited about that I'm going to do today? Even if I have to make it up, right? That's really important. The second thing I ask.
Even if I have to make up a lie to myself, it's really important that I answer this completely arbitrary question in the shower every morning, even if the answer is fake.
This is what might trip me up today and stress me out or throw me off my game. And how would my highest self meet that? That way, I'm entering the day sort of framed that I'm going to approach everything from my A game and be aware that something's going to throw me off. And when it goes to throw me off, how will I deal with it? And then the last one is, how can I surprise someone today? It's why I like to give away so much things to you guys. I just love to surprise. It's fun, right? So that's part of my building all.
Does anyone else hate surprises? I hate surprises. Don't surprise me. If you're like, if you text me and say, hey, I'm going to bring you a coffee from the coffee shop or something, I'm like, okay, then I won't make a pot of coffee. I like those kind of surprises. But, in general, don't like surprises.
All this in for myself. So I'm starting the day enthusiastic about the day. Well, if you start your day enthusiastic about the day for a year, 2, 3, for me, 10 years every single morning with practices that make me better throughout the day, then I don't have to force this.
I see why more of his podcasts are about motivation. I want to know how to save a failing promotion. Do this practice for 1 to 3 years. Okay, but that's not going to help me right now. Also, like I said, I think to me, the times where I've gotten the best about selling are when I don't need the money and when I'm confident in what I know or what I'm selling, right? If I know the thing is good and I know that if the person says no, that I'm still going to be able to pay my bills at the end of the month, I'm good.
And when this just comes across as who you are, you will sell better. So if you're a miserable bastard, you're really going to have to change if you want to make more money. Because miserable bastards, not so good at selling.
If you're a miserable bastard, you're going to have to... Just the way his voice went up at that. It was good.
So we need you to be happy in your life, and you need to start structuring your life so you have more enthusiasm on an automatic basis. So when you get in front of a camera, it's natural. Second, look at the words in your email copy or on your sales letters. Is there a vibe there? Is there an enthusiasm, a surprise, an energy,
So vibe, enthusiasm, all that, it's all saying the same thing. We're 20 minutes in, okay? And we're just really hammering away at this mindset thing, which we can totally move on, Brendon. We get it.
a joy in your copy for them in your life? Because remember, people want to buy positive emotions. People buy emotional decision-making, don't they? Well, this is an emotion. This is the prime and the most important emotion in all of sales, right? Enthusiasm sells. Enthusiasm. I always tell myself that before I shoot a sales video. Enthusiasm, Brendon. Enthusiasm, enthusiasm, enthusiasm. Doesn't matter how I'm feeling. I'm going to get there, because if I don't get there, I'm not going to sell well. So if you're failing in your marketing, I'm here to tell you, do not forget you're selling emotion. And when you're selling emotion, this is the primacy emotion, the number one primary emotion. So really look at this one, okay? Number two. This is really important. I want to, if I look at your sales video, I want to know and see and hear as a customer that by buying your thing, I am going to know specifically what to do next. This is what we call selling tactical education, okay? Tactical education. Now, you might sell a product and not information like I do. I sell advice, content, ideas, information, education. And to do that, I need to make sure that my customers know they will know how to do something differently in the future after they purchase my product. So if you could be technical, like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do a webinar, but I can't just say, you're going to learn how to do a webinar, how to do a webinar, how to do a webinar. It's like, okay, what are all the elements that go into doing a webinar? And I need to break that down in my mind and think through that process and tell them they're finally going to know how to do that. First, introduce to them that they need to know how to do that. Then tell them that I've done it and gotten some results. And then tell them specifically what they're going to learn. Did you write that down? If you didn't, you are crazy. You are spending a lot of money to be with me every month and not take notes.
Dude, get off your high horse. I'm trying to write it down, but you spent fucking 7 minutes on enthusiasm and you spent 30 seconds saying 3 points. I'm sorry I didn't get them all down, okay? God, like, why are these people so condescending to who they're teaching? I don't understand. And you know what? Like, I'd like to find more women who do this stuff so that I can compare, but mostly it's dudes being condescending to their audience. And I feel like as a woman, if I talked like this to my audience, well, first of all, I wouldn't want to talk like that to my audience, but if I did, you guys would all call me a bitch, and rightly fucking so.
Genius. Write it down. I'm going to tell them.
I'm a genius. Write it down.
What they need to know. My most successful video of all time was my total product blueprint launch. Many of you guys were there for that. Did $4.6 million in 10 days, okay? When we did that launch, everybody was mystified, like what happened? And by the way, that was collected. That was real money, not like set them up on 12 payment plans and call it a $4 million launch. It was a real $4 million launch.
Okay. God, I wish I started a humble brag tally at the beginning of this. The idea of rewatching this whole thing and counting them makes me want to die, but like, we get it. You're successful, Brendon. Can you just like tell us how to correct a failure of a promotion?
And the way that worked is I said, I'm going to teach you how to do these, like whatever it was, 10 products. And for each product, I introduce the product. I say, now I know you probably have thought about doing this product, but did you know when you do a product like this?
Yeah, it sounds like he's in a plane or something. That's not on my end.
You need to make some decisions. You need to choose, you need to know how to do X, Y, and Z. And then you need to know how to do this, this, and this, and this. And you need to know how to do this, this, and this. You need to know all these things. Notice what I said. You need to know all these things. We're creating the case of need, right? By telling them ultimately what they're going to learn. So you need to learn all these things. I figured them out and got these results. And now I'm going to teach you how to do these specific things, right? And that little sequence right there, creates so much more compelling need in a sales video than just saying, here's what I got, let me describe for you and how it will transform your life. You have to do that too, but this is what people often forget. I'll listen to the sales video and I go, I don't get what I'm gonna be able to know or do differently. And by the way, I've made that mistake.
I'm really confused as to how what he's saying is different, especially since about, I don't know, 5 minutes ago in this broadcast, he talks about how we make decisions based on emotions, right? So his formula here is to tell people what they need to know, show how you've successfully, how you had demonstrated success in knowing that or whatever, and then what you will teach them. So where's the emotion there? It feels like that would be less effective. Also, like, at the beginning of the broadcast when he was talking about like, oh, Kajabi can, help you take care of automations and payments and funnels and all that. To me, if somebody was listening to that advertisement and had no background, it would just seem like a bit of a word salad. So it's difficult, I think, to go into like the sort of features and specifics until someone is a little bit more interested in the product or service, in my opinion. But I would like to hear an example of like, here is like the old way of selling, with emotion and all that. And then here's my way, let's compare them side by side. And this is why this one is better. I'd like an example, but we'll see if he gives one.
Dozens of sales videos. I'm practically shooting this video with you right now here live, and I'll watch the replay later and kick myself in the face. I'll be like, I've done that so many times. I forgot to do that, Brendon. So look, we're all on the path. You and me, you're here because we're on the path of mastery. Some of this is common sense, but sometimes you forget. Me too. So I'm not bagging on anybody. We all forget this stuff. But I'm going to really look at your stuff. If you ask me to evaluate, I'm going to go, right there, man. Am I really clear on tactically what's different for them? And I failed to do that in my habit builder promotion.
But that was his most successful one. So the thing he forgot to do, the important thing for, was his most successful launch.
I didn't dial that in enough. I was more there was so much that I wanted to teach in there that I was more describing what they're going to learn without specifically what they're going to be able to do differently to get ahead. Follow?
No.
Okay, very important. The last one that didn't work well didn't have this there. It needs to be in the copy. It needs to be in the sales video. It needs to be so painfully obvious that they go, oh my gosh, I do need that. Because if they don't say, I need that based on this, you can have all the enthusiasm in the world. You can be pretty. You can be pretty. I never had that going for me, but you could be pretty and they still won't buy your stuff. Follow? Next up.
Follow?
Number 3, have you clearly addressed their objections? I've been marketing essentially every day of my life for 10 years, and I still fail on this one. Because what we tend to do is we think, oh, they have 1 or 2 objections. We kind of nonchalantly cover them, and then we end the sale. And the reality is there's usually about 5 major objections people have for every offer. You need to know what those 5 objections are, and you need to explicitly state them and take them on. You need to say things like, you know what, maybe as you hear me talking about this, you worry that this is happening, and you address their objection. Maybe you worry this isn't right for you, or maybe you worry that they won't support you, or maybe you worry you can't do it, or maybe you worry it's not the right time, or maybe you worry that it's too complicated. You got to address all of those things, and you need to literally say them. Tell them their own objection.
Yeah, I agree with this. It shows that you understand your audience. I completely agree with this point.
Say, hey, you know what? You might be thinking you don't have time for this right now. So let's talk about that, because a lot of people struggle with that timing thing, like the right priorities in their life. So let's talk about that. And then
I don't know about addressing people's like whatever sort of general objections like that, like you don't have the money or you don't have the time or something. I would say, oh, maybe you're worried that this product, won't take the place of this other product that you've had to buy. Well, I don't know. I don't know about going after people's like mindset and whatever. Like that's a little guru-y to me, and I don't like that.
Address it. Or if their thing is, well, yeah, if I buy that, my spouse is going to think I'm crazy. And you can tell your own story, like, hey, I've seen a promotion.
Ooh, nothing like going against nothing like inserting yourself into someone's relationship so that you can sell a product. Gross.
Like this before too. And honestly, the first time I signed up for something, my spouse thought I was crazy. But the way that I explained it to them was, and you tell a little story related to the objection, how you dealt with it. All these little tricks of the trade allow you to start and talk to the conversation that's already in their head, that they're already concerned about, but you're not hiding from it. And a lot of people really got this wrong in the online marketing world. They kind of said, speak around it and kind of NLP it in there. And I'm like, no, right at it.
NLP stands for neuro linguistic programming, and all the gurus love NLP and will reference it like it's something everybody knows. But I think it's the idea that if you say something enough time, like it sort of programs it. So like, act the way you want to feel kind of stuff. I don't know. I'll throw a definition maybe on the screen or a link in the show notes or something about it in case you're curious about it. But it's something that they all refer to, all the gurus. I think it's one thing to say like, oh, my spouse is going to think I'm crazy, or, what about my kid's college fund? But, for our co-working space, for example, we have people who come in and they like want to use the space, but they're like, oh, like I'm not sure if I can afford it. And I say, oh, like, does your employer offer, some kind of work from home stipend or something? And they're like, oh, is that something people do? And in that scenario, I feel like I'm sharing a practice that a lot of companies do, which is they either give you a one-time sort of work from home setup, or they give you some kind of, monthly payment that might go toward like maybe buying higher speed internet, or, potentially renting co-working space. So a lot of large companies are doing this, especially if there's like hybrid or fully remote. So what we do is just point out that it might be worthwhile to ask your company. And we have a template on our website of like a letter that you can basically, it's way too long. So basically the whole thing is like, here's a way too long letter, and you can just like copy and paste the parts that apply to you and put in your own examples. And it helps start the conversation in case your workplace hasn't offered this kind of benefit before. So yeah, I think the difference between the thing that I have on the website, the template, right? The email template to how to talk to your boss or your company about a co-working type stipend or paying for your membership, versus what this guy is saying is like, oh, your wife thinks you're crazy because you want to sign up for this program, is that I'm not inserting myself into their personal relationship. I'm simply offering that a lot of companies offer this kind of thing. And I'm offering a tool to have the conversation if they want it. And that's it. I'm not inserting myself into that relationship the way that if I would say, oh, you know what? My boss didn't want to pay for my co-working space membership, and here's how I talked to her, and now, they fully pay for my co-working space membership. That is less helpful than the thing that I'm offering, in my opinion.
Direct, explicit communication is your job when you're selling. Just hit it and don't back off. And I'm like, well, maybe you're worried that, you can't do it a lot. Confidence throughout your entire addressing of objections. Confidence. If I don't see you address objections with confidence, that's what's happening to you. Your sales are sucking for that particular reason, and you need to do it. So my question to you is, if I watch your sales video, can I see you addressing the objections? Can I see you addressing the objections straight on? Now, some people say, well, Brendon, I had a winning promotion and, I didn't have much of addressing of the objections in there. I go, I know. Please remember the context in which I promised to talk to you. This is about failing promotions. Because I've probably had, out of the 23 videos for those big launches, I bet a good 7 of them didn't do a good job of objections, but they still converted like crazy.
So a lot of this stuff is luck and timing. In short, here's some tactics to fix something that might not even need fixing. So,
but if those had been dogs, I would have known to look right there, right? Because
I hate this dog thing. I know my dog is making me be a butler today for her needs, but like, I don't know. I just hate this term. I just keep picturing her little face and being like, "You're not a failure, Brandy." I'll put a picture of her on the screen. She's on Instagram if you want to follow her. Plot twist, I don't maintain the account.
there are just some offers that this is a bigger barrier than others, right? The higher price you go, more objections. So you have to really pay attention to the specific offer you're doing and address those objections, especially, again, if you got a dog.
The dog thing. Anyway, I have read somewhere, and I'll see if I can find the source, that the hardest price point to sell a product is like between sort of that $200 and $500 mark. It's almost like when a price gets to a certain point, it's okay. And obviously when it's like lower than a certain point, it's okay. But I'll see if I can find that, because I thought that was interesting. Because I had a client who was selling this $300 course, and I remember running into this particular article while I was working with him and being like, okay.
Okay, next up. So you're like, I'm going to change my price. I'm like, don't change the price. What I want you to do is make sure you have bonuses, which I'm sure you have bonuses. And what I want you to do is do a better job building the need for the bonuses. Don't change the price. Either A, add bonuses if you don't have them. I like to have 3 bonuses for every offer. That's my rule. 3 bonuses, every offer. Second rule is build the need. Make them want that bonus as much as they want the main thing.
So this podcast is about a promotion of a course, it sounds like. How to save a failing course promotion. I wish you would have put that in the title. A promotion to me could be anything. It could be a promotion of an event. It could be a promotion of a product or a service. But he's specifically talking about a course launch here. I wish he would have been more explicit in the title.
So build the need of why this specific bonus. And then add every element we've been talking about with the bonus too. Meaning I want you to be enthusiastic about it. I want you to explain what's the tactical advantage they'll get by having that specific bonuses. The best bonuses are the things that solve a very specific, singular problem. Like it's really narrow. Boom, solves it for them, okay? Those are usually the best ones. And I can also tell when something's dogging it in their sales is because the bonuses they kind of mention as an afterthought. Oh yeah, I got this thing too, or I got this.
If he keeps mentioning dogs, I'm going to put a picture of my dog on the screen. Maybe every time he does. I don't know. We'll see.
And their enthusiasm goes away. They don't explain what it is. And again, I've made all 4 of these mistakes over and over and over in my career. And that's how I know these are where you should be looking, okay? Look here, start here, reshoot that thing, rewrite that thing, start here. Do not change your price until you've pulled every one of these levers hard, right? I don't care if you got to shoot the sales video 10 times. Shoot it 10 times.
Of course you don't, because you're not paying for it or losing productivity because of it. Listen, if you have a business and your full-time thing is not creating content, don't listen to people whose full-time job is creating content. I mean, I create content for other people, but like, I don't have time to like create an infinite amount of content for myself. You know what I mean? God, if you want to listen to me, that's fine. I feel like I'm a lot more realistic than a lot of these people. I do get paid to create content all day, but it's for other people. It's a cobbler's kid situation. But yeah, he doesn't care if you have to shoot a video 10 times. You might not have time to shoot a video 10 times. You might have to work in your business and like, I don't know, do the thing that makes you money. But he doesn't care. You should just shoot it 10 times if you have to.
Until you feel like you've nailed some of these to get it better. 3 of my best promotions ever, I did shoot the sales video probably 4, 5 times in a 10-day promotion cycle. It didn't bother me at all. I didn't complain about it. I didn't feel sad. I'm like, I'm learning with
Yeah, and your full-time job is creating content, of course.
the audience in real time. That's just what happens. Now, some people say, well, Brendon, when do you swap it out? Like, how do you know, where to like draw the line?
Yes, that was my question. So if most of the sales are coming in the last 48 to 72 hours, the last 2 to 3 days, right? How do you, and you know that you're not opposed to pivoting, and not changing your price, but like, how do you know when to pivot? This is an excellent question.
For me, I'll usually, depending on the promotion, I'll let 100 people hit that page before changing the video to see, because the 100 gives me the percentage. Like out of 100, did I get 3 people to buy? Did I get 10 people to buy? What's my percentage of the 100? And then I'll swap it out if I have low traffic to it. That's if I was beginning again. For us now, we have thousands of people hit it. So I'll usually look at the 1,000 number for me. Okay, 1,000 people just watched it. What was our conversion? And if it sucks at 1,000, I'm like, turn on a camera immediately.
Yeah, but like some people, I have YouTube videos that have like 8 hits. You know what I mean? So to get eyeballs on this piece of content, do you suggest that people run ads? Because if somebody is a relatively small business, they're not maybe going to get 100 views on a piece of content in a week. So I'm curious how and if he'll address that issue.
So if you were actually part of that habit builder promotion and you ever got to a point where you saw me sitting with this super blown out window behind me, it's because I had this little camera at my house. My wife hit play on it. I was like, this thing's still not working. Let's do another version. And we just went for another version. And it was, I don't know how many versions. And by the way, I'm still going to reshoot that based on these 4 things, which is what inspired me to do this video for you in the first place, because I also have dogs even to this day. And so I don't want you to get discouraged on yourself. Marketing is learning. You're always going to be testing and trying new things.
Yep, I agree with that.
Hey, all, it's Brendon, and I want.
Okay, so we're going into an ad read, which I predicted. Remember, I said, oh yeah, he's gonna. So to 4 minutes and 20 seconds to 32 minutes and 20 seconds was content. All right. Hey guys, it's editing Nicole. You know what that means. This is going to be a 2-parter. So next week we'll post part 2 of this. In the meantime, if you like what you see, I hope you consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, sharing this, otherwise interacting with it. That would be fantastic. And check out the other gurus in the list. You can see them on the YouTube channel. There's a Nicole Reacts playlist. And if you're on the breakingeveninc.com website, if you go to the blog, there's a Nicole Reacts category that has all the videos in there too. So anyway, see you next week with more Brendon Burchard. I'm getting it. And I'll put some more pictures of my dog when he mentions dog in it, if that keeps happening. So enjoy that. All right, have a great day and see you next week.